man, God has really got us through a lot of stuff because of our
100%.
prayers and our fight. But I think you have to understand that, you know, the fight is not over.
Right.
So we have to keep fighting. And, you know, if we're going to have this frontier that we are declaring and that we're wanting, you know, we have to understand that, listen, we need to be the ones that are undergirding the man that's sitting in the land.
That's good.
You know, who God has. And so, you know, ultimately, like, that's the biggest thing for me is I just want to see this nation never stop, like, fighting for their freedoms and fighting, because there always are going to be evil people. There's always going to be the next batch of people that don't like what's going on.
Yeah.
That's culture. That's the world, you know, that we live in. And then we have Satan, who is the author of confusion, right? He wants to bring negativity, evil, and whatever he can to try to disrupt the plans that God has.
And can we take a moment, though, to just appreciate how Satan is $20 million in debt after spending $1.5 billion to try and win an election?
Yeah.
You spend $100 million a week and you can't win? Actually, you get swept.
Yeah.
You got swept.
Yeah. Well, you're talking, because, I mean, look at it, though, with the...
Satan's campaign.
Yeah, 100%.
Paris Waltz, yes.
Yeah. But you know what's so cool, too? Speaking of getting swept, I mean, GOP, we have the trifecta. So, like, the House and the Senate, huge. Because, you know, I heard somebody say, like, yeah, if you have the president in, but then, like, a House and a Senate, like, the Congress doesn't support him.
Correct.
Is tough.
It makes it really hard.
And so, you know, that's the other thing. Why in 2 years, in 2026, it'll be so important that we make sure we retain, you know, the House and the Senate. Because look back in Trump's first term. After those first 2 years, that's kind of when we started seeing things really start to try to, like, nosedive and take a hit. That's when the whole, like, scamdemic, plandemic stuff came out. You know, all of that stuff started to go downhill. The riots, everything. I mean, January 6th, like, was starting right at the end of Trump's, you know, first term, and then after the election with him and Biden, and, like, which he honestly on the first day, 100% should get all of those people that were falsely accused from January 6th completely out.
And I heard that was one of his initiatives that he was going to do.
And then we need to bring the Epstein and Diddy list back out. So,
please.
Like, let's have that conversation.
Let's get this over with, because you're dealing with people's lives that have been ruined. You've got people that are missing. You've got people that are presumably dead because of this trafficking ring. And it connects all the way back to Hollywood. So now you've got these childhood actors. You always find them end up just having terrible adult lives. And you realize that it's because of all of whatever's been going on. So that needs to be exposed and that needs to be corrected. But I want to go back to something you were just talking about when you were talking about when things started to go downhill, when you had the plandemic of 2020, is if you notice, Matt, the biggest issues where we saw government overreach was at the local levels. So your cities, city council just saying, or actually not even your city council. It was like
even school boards.
It'd be like your resident physician was like, oh, I think we should just shut down you know, the city of Omaha. And everyone's like, okay.
Well, school boards, think about all that.
The school boards at your state level, you know, them enforcing certain bans where you can't travel across state lines. This is important because you just mentioned the number of seats that will be up in 2026. We also have to think about this and be vigilant at the local level, because you have mayors, you have judges, you have council seats, you have board of education, you have various people at the local level that you need to take a hard look at and remember from 2020. Were these the people that fought for my freedoms, or were they the ones keeping me locked up in my room? In my house, keeping me from going to school, keeping my church closed. So we need to keep that.
Me or people that I know arrested, or whatever.
Or did you guys have the hotline in my city for my neighbors to call and tell on me when I had 5 people over at my house for Thanksgiving? So,
but yet a whole city could celebrate a sports championship with thousands of people,
or could burn down certain areas of the city.
Too.
Let's talk about that. It reminds me of the game Oregon Trail. Not that part. The game Oregon Trail, where you know you could decide to settle in a certain space, or you could keep going. So this is the part, folks, where in this new frontier, you know, we have the Midwest because people, let's be honest, people settled. They said it was good here, and we're not going to go all the way to California. we've got to continue to go the distance.
Yeah.
This is not the time to get complacent. This is not the time when things turn around, because they will, and the economy is good again. You get your job back. You get your salary back. You get your 401k back. You get, I don't know, you're able to, afford 2 vehicles again. You're able to get that house you've always wanted. Don't settle there. Don't say, you know what, I'm good. I don't need to worry about anything else. No, we have to keep investing and pushing forward into the future. And this, I think, Matt, is our chance. God has given us a second
100%.
chance to do what our founding fathers wanted us to initially do.
Well, yeah, and then we can go over even that list of that Trump had done while being the president-elect for only 2 days. I mean,
You should bring that up.
yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
we'll put this graphic up, but I mean, okay. So one thing we know is right now, for the average American to afford a house, they need to be making $125,000 a year.
Yep.
To afford a house in America, the average American. I remember back when Trump was in office that, I mean, people looked at it as like 6 figures was like a massive salary. I mean, think about it. Like most people could just live off like 80, 90,000 a year, or 70, some of them. If you're fine, especially if you're single, like you're making 60, 70,000 a year or 80,000, like you're living pretty comfortably. Now it's like, oh, just to afford a house, you need 125,000.
Yeah.
So Biden inflation. Okay.
100%.
So, you know what I mean? So with Trump here and just being the president-elect for 2 days. Now this came out literally, like I think it was the November 7th, so just right after the election. Check this out. The stock market hit a record high. Migrant caravan at our border dissolves. Hamas calls for end to war. Bitcoin hits record high. How about that?
Man.
Putin ready to end Ukraine war. Qatar kicks out Hamas leaders. EU will buy U.S. gas, not Russian gas. Putin will sell oil in U.S. dollars. Zelensky phones Trump and Elon Musk. New York City mayor ends vouchers for illegals. Mexico to stop migrants at U.S. border. China wants to work peacefully with the U.S. How about that one? Big U.S. company to move out of China.
I mean, it's amazing how immediate this effect is when you have the rightful person occupying a position that, quite frankly,
it's a healthy
was
fear.
Stolen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, why? Because he's supposed to be there.
Well, he runs America like a business.
I was a businessman doing business.
At the end of the day,
Yeah.
like